Welcome to the Mystic Millionaire podcast, where wealth is energy, success is a mindset, and abundance is your birthright. I am Danielle Amos, your host and mentor, here to help you unlock prosperity, embody confidence, and manifest a life you love. Take a breath, align with your truth, and let's manifest millions. He is a #1 best-selling author and one of the most sought-after corporate mindfulness trainers. His name is Kurtis Lee Thomas, and he is my next guest. He's also the founder of Breathwork Detox, a modality voted #1 corporate wellness provider of 2023 by HR Manager magazine. He's been featured on the Today Show for making a profound impact within the mindfulness and well-being of some of the top Fortune 500 companies, such as Nike and NASA. Kurtis is a committed mental health advocate who recently published the #1 new release, How to Thrive in the Age of Anxiety. He's currently the chairman of Just Breathe Foundation and works with top global brands, athletes, and celebrities to help bring awareness and solutions to the mental health epidemic that currently plagues our families and our employees. Well, this interview was an absolute surprise. I feel like I've met a soulmate, really, a brother. I've known Kurtis before. That became very clear in this interview. It's going to shock you. We talk about aliens. We talk about star seeds. We talk about, if you go to the bonus episodes, we talk about where are all the conscious men and how it was an honor to have a conscious man sitting in front of me, speaking my language. I mean, that's, for me, has been a rare occurrence in my life. We talk about what it's like to go to Nepal. He also hiked the Everest region, so we had that in common. He shared with me his trip to Tibet. That's all in the bonus. When you listen to this episode, it's going to blow you away. He's very, very, very aware and has an incredible insight to what it means to be human, living in this 3D reality that we call Earth right now. So enjoy, and make sure that you reach out to Kurtis on Instagram. I asked him, and he's the one behind all the messages. So go let him know what resonates. Thanks for being here. I'm honored to have Kurtis in the studio with me today. Welcome, Kurtis, to the Mystic Millionaire podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. I am grateful for the connection through Jessica. We've got a mutual friend, Jessica Zweig, and she speaks very highly of you, and so do her entire team. So it's an honor to have you here. And I was creeping your Instagram last night that I just told you offline, and I noticed we have a lot in common. First of all, you had on that, it's not even the story, but 1 + 1 = 11.
Oh.
And I often say that to my clients. So what had you post that yesterday?
Well, there's a couple of things, because there's been a few things on Instagram where, I think it was Terrence Howard saying 1 + 1 = 11, it doesn't equal 2. But I was actually reading Jessica's book yesterday, and in there she talks about it, and I knew I was going on her podcast today. So, 1 + 1 means when you have one whole person and another whole person, and you put those two people together, it's not 2, it's 11. And, we're constantly seeking for other people to complete us. But when you're a whole person and you come together with another whole person, it's magnified. And I think for me, that's why I put it, on my Instagram that day, because I was actually reading that very chapter.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I like the idea of the one whole person and coming together with another. I often think of it as the opposite of a logical result. So if we think of 1 + 1 = 2, and a lot of times with my clients, they're like, if I do this and then I do this, then I'll get that goal.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, whoa, wait a minute. What if you do none of that and you follow inspired action, and then 1 + 1 actually = 11, and you got your quantum leap?
Exactly. And it's actually the same thing in numerology. When there's 1 and 1, you don't add it up to 2. it's 11 is a master number.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
There's something to it.
I love, and I see 11 everywhere.
Yeah.
Like it's such a
The
fun,
codes.
the codes, the fun number. So in your Instagram profile, you mentioned the word star seeds. Can you tell me, and I'm taking you maybe in a different direction for what you're known for, and I'm like really curious
Yeah.
why that's in your bio.
Okay.
What's a star seed?
Man, it's going to go deep really quick.
Okay, good. Let's go there.
Starseed is somebody who feels that they're not from here, right? That Earth is, this whole experience, there's a lot of dysfunctionality to it, and they just don't feel home. They could be outcast. They could be black sheep. But those people who don't feel like they originate from Earth. So what I realized, and I think many other starseeds, now you don't have to know you're a starseed to be a starseed. Starseeds are awakening right now. They could awaken just from this one podcast and start doing their research. Like, holy crap, you know what? I am a starseed. So what I realized in my personal journey is that Earth is not my home. It's my mission. There's billions of other planets out there. My soul does not originate from Earth. There was an agreement between Gaia, Earth, and Source, God, a long, long time ago, that if humanity was ever to fall below a certain level of consciousness and there was too much darkness and negativity, that a call would go out to all the light workers in the entire multiverse, trillions of souls. And Earth is very hard. It's a very dense planet. There's 5D, there's 7D, 12D planets. We're a third dimension, dense planet. There's got a lot of negativity, And, I'm not saying this place is all doom and gloom, but out there to beings who are living all love and light, to come here is like, hey, you want to go walk in the ghetto right now with money falling out of our pockets? It's like, it's going to happen.
Yeah.
So majority of those beings who heard that call that went out said, hell no, I'm not coming. And the ones who did say yes are the starseeds. So there's some souls here that originate in a lot of the indigenous, Indians, and, they come from here. And some people, they're more fairy area. They come from different, realms. But the starseeds, they're here on a mission. And the ones who heard that call, they're far more braver than you could possibly imagine. So, just if you're incarnated here at this time, listening to this podcast, that means you're in human form, and there's a bigger game. I'd invite you to open yourself to the thought that there's a bigger game being played right now, and you might be playing it better than you think. And, it's just that the 3D matrix kind of got us looking over here, right? It's where you focus, where your attention goes, is where things grow. And sometimes we're focused on the wrong things, but we focus on our spiritual evolution and just our awareness and our consciousness and looking at the bigger picture. And, I think that's what the game is. And I think there's a lot of starseeds. I'm not the only starseed, trust me. When that call went out, quite a few showed up. So I guess I'm just an ambassador.
And do you believe that starseeds are finding each other, coming together, and like on podcasts like this?
This is what we're doing right now.
Yeah, totally.
Like literally, I was talking to Jessica on the podcast. I'm like, do you realize that we're meeting on the spring equinox in between eclipses?
Totally.
Like in a very significant time in human history. And she's like, absolutely. I was thinking about this too. And that's
bringing. So there's not just a few of us. There's a group.
There's groups,
here.
And that's the difference. So when groups out there, a group of starseeds incarnate, you actually incarnate in groups. Maybe these people go to China, a few go to Australia, a bunch go to the United States. Those are actually your soul family, known as soulmates. So when you meet somebody who comes from your same soul group, male or female. Now, when you meet a female one in the same soul group as you, that's your soulmate. Now, soulmates are all sunshine and rainbows because you guys know each other. You're in the inner circle. And you know your soul contract that you had before you came to Earth. And you know theirs. So you know the triggers in them that's going to shine light on the dark areas in their life where other people can't. It's like my daughter. She knows exactly how to push my buttons, But these are opportunities for growth. Yeah. And so your soulmate can come in and you're meant to evolve with them. And it can be really tough for people because they have to know that the bigger picture is the evolution. That's why we came here. So, and that gets confused with twin flames. People are like, I met my twin flame, and they break up and they met their twin flame. You only get one twin flame. you have multiple soulmates.
Yeah.
Because that soul family, all the people from the opposite sex, those or same sex, those are your soulmates. But your twin flame is the other half of you. Not half meaning you're not whole, half meaning the female version of you or the male version of you. And when you come together, it's actually the most powerful union that you can have. And a lot of twin flames don't incarnate on the same planet at the same time because there's really no purpose. They'll get more from their evolution from going on different planets and different timelines. However, the one time that they do is when it's a planet that's going through a very significant metamorphosis or a huge planetary galactic shift.
Like Earth.
Like Earth right now. This moment in time is where twin flames are going to start coming together more than ever. And it's crazy because some couples that could have been together for 10 years and happy, next thing you know, their life gets turned upside down. And there's just so many shifts that are going to be happening.
Yeah, I'm going through a divorce right now.
Yeah. So,
yeah, and it's and there's a ton of that happening. Well, in my circle around. Yeah.
Well, there you go.
Yeah. So about twin flames, at what point in your knowledge do they come together? What brings the twin flame together?
There's more things keeping twin flames apart
Okay.
than together. And without really kind of going deep down the rabbit hole, I'll just say, have you ever watched the movie The Adjustment Bureau?
No.
Okay. It's Matt Damon, and I forget the girl's name.
Okay.
But there's this whole like organization that it keeps them from being together. And because what happens is, let's say good guys, bad guys, the one thing that's the most powerful thing, or actually there's two things, that's like the kryptonite to dark forces. And the number one is goddess energy. When women awaken into their goddess energy, that is the kryptonite. They hate it. It's like nails on a chalkboard for them. And women stepping into their goddess power, stepping out of victimhood and really truly being empowered, that's what they hate. That's why women were pulled from all the religious scriptures, all the doctrines, made to think they're on a lower level, like all this power struggle. And the second most powerful thing is twin flame reunions. When twin flames unite and they come together, they become untouchable. So they have to do whatever they can to keep them apart. And they go through great lengths to do that. So we're come to a time in human history where enough light is coming onto the planet that twin flames are uniting. And when they unite, it like 50x's the light and the energy. It actually physically allows the body to hold more light, more energetic codes, and allow yourself for more like genetic upgrades.
Very cool.
Yeah.
I've heard from one of my mentors about twin flames. It was 2 years ago, actually. And she was a big part of my separation. The reason why she helped me see what I didn't see. She talked to me about twin flames and how each are doing their own work to be whole.
Yeah.
And to evolve as much as they can in order to come together. And both of them need to be in that place.
They have to, because what happens is if they were true twin flames, if they were to come together, most of them don't work out because they have to be at a certain self-realization within themselves, or else it becomes too volatile.
Yeah.
It's like if I took this spotlight onto all your dark spots that you're not even willing or know to look at, it'll become or look like a super toxic relationship.
Right.
And it's not what it is. It's to help each other out. So when you guys work on that on your own and see those things and then come to a place of self-realization, at least enough state of consciousness where you can have compassion for the other person's perspective, then when you come together, it's the magic. But if one didn't do the work and the other did, volatile.
Yeah.
If neither of them did the work, explosive. Like someone's going to prison.
Yeah. Okay. Got it. I love that. I mean, there may be another podcast.
Yeah.
That's all right. Okay. Yeah. So I'd like to go back to starseed for a second. There are many different planets and where starseeds come from. Do you have one that you focus on or that you like to talk about? I know Jessica does. Her and I were talking about the Pleiadians yesterday.
Yeah, it's so funny. She asked me that same question.
Okay.
And, my answer is going to be no.
Okay.
There's so many. I don't resonate with just one of them. And I think that's going to be my official answer.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel like it limits me because there's just there's so many. We live thousands and thousands of lifetimes on so many different planets. But when we come to this amazing planet,
Yeah. Okay.
we lose all of our memories.
Mm-hmm.
That's the purpose of this particular planet is, we're in the game of remembering.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have to really, do and learn so much, and we think that we do, and we don't. We actually have to remember. We're remembering who we are. We're awakening to everything that we came here to be, and awakening to the queen within you, awakening to the king within me. It's an awakening process. It's a remembering process, because this is the land of forgetfulness. We don't know where we come from. We don't know who we are.
Yeah.
And
why we're here.
And if I was born in India, I'd be, worshiping an elephant god. And that'd be natural because of my geographical location. And if I grew up Christian, and I was in the church with Jesus. So it's like our lives are dependent upon our parents and, all these other social constructs. What's the truth, right? What's the truth? Who are we really? Where do we really come from? And those are the things that have infatuated me.
Yeah. Can you give a few examples of starseeds to help the audience understand some of the planets, some of the systems that
so you hear Pleiades a lot. They're the closest to us, and they're the ones that look mostly like us. So little green, little men, you know what I mean? Like little Martians. Yeah, they exist, but there's actually beings that if you were in Whole Foods, and you were shopping, and there was one shopping there, you wouldn't know the difference. You wouldn't be able to tell. They're extremely humanoid. Some might be a little taller, blonde hair, blue eyes. You have Arcturians, which, kind of look like the Greys. The Greys is what people see. Like if you look at the emoji on the iPhone, right? That's a gray. And there's different types of grays. There's dark grays, light grays, there's even red grays. There's so many different species. You can look at lioness species that look like everything you can imagine. And that's the thing. It's so hard for people to wrap their brain around this stuff because it sounds like a sci-fi movie.
Yeah.
But when you start to awaken, you realize that, you know what? Everything that I was taught to be true
is not
a friggin' lie.
Yeah.
And you know what? Everything they told me was fairy tale and lie is
actually true. I know.
Like the paradox.
Isn't that blowing your mind?
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
And I understand if someone could listen to this and be like, oh, they're crazy. I get it. I was that guy.
Yeah.
And then, I had a cousin. He was a conspiracy theorist. I'm like, cuz, where's your tin hat? Like all these things. And until all the things he started to tell me started to come true over like 5 years. And I was like, holy crap, he's not crazy. This is all true. And then, he was the black sheep. He was the one that awakened. And I was so resistant. And then now I'm in such a good space because I know that anything's possible. And that's such a beautiful way to live when you know that miracles are around the corner in every direction, synchronicities, miracles. I have so many stories of amazing things you cannot explain to anybody. And
give me one.
Oh man. So this is the Millionaire one, right?
Yeah.
So I'll give you a cool, like a business story. So I was flat broke, sitting on the couch watching TV. Now the TV that was on was Ray J, For the Love of Ray J.
Okay, no idea.
So he made Kim Kardashian famous.
Okay.
I'll just leave it at that.
Okay, good. Got it.
So I'm sitting there broke. I have about maybe a month and a half left of bills, and I'm looking at the TV, and Ray J's opening his own reality it's his own reality show. So he's in a Lamborghini, and he has a diamond watch on, his beautiful women and palm trees. And I'm like, wow, I'm stuck in the smallest state in the entire country in Rhode Island. I'm never going to be able to live that life. I'm like, no, I want to experience that at least once as a man. Like, what's it to be rich and have all these things and, reality TV and all this stuff. And I felt the energy, and I guess it shot into the universe because I get a call the next day from my buddy who has a diamond watch company. He said, Kurtis, I have these new watches I'm creating. He's a jeweler. I want you to help with the marketing. I write the marketing plan. He goes, I want to hire you to implement it. Implements it. In my plan, I said, we need to go backstage to Oscars, ESPYs, all the award show. So we fly next week. We're in LA doing the award show. It all happened so fast. And I'm backstage and I have the watches, and I'm giving them to Beyonce, rappers like, Rick Ross, Jamie Foxx wore it on stage, every celebrity you can imagine. And all of a sudden, Ray J from the TV show walks in, and we were giving away like $1,500 watches. He wanted the one that I wanted, that I was wearing, which is like a $50,000 watch. I'm like, we can't give these ones away. He's like, well, let's do a deal, So we ended up doing the deal. He's like, hey, listen, I'm doing season 2 of my reality show. Come be the jeweler, and then you can give me the watch, and we'll do the deal. We did the deal. We filmed, blah, blah, blah. I come back home, months later. I'm on the same couch where I was broke trying to figure out my next dollar. And I'm looking at the TV. Mind you, I was driving all the fancy cars. The guy gave me a $50,000 diamond watch. I was all the celebrities, palm trees in LA. And then all of a sudden the TV comes on, and it's season 2, and the same couch and the same TV. I'm seeing myself inside the reality TV show. I was inside on the episode that was airing, and I said, oh my God, then this is what I learned from that. Okay. This is very 3D. I got some crazy ones. This is a 3D one. What I learned from that was what you want from life. Mm-hmm. What you want, it is up to you. How and when you get it is not.
Yeah.
But it's a good thing, because all that happened within 3 months. I would never dream that all of that could happen in 3 months. Mm-hmm. So it happened faster than my little human brain could even imagine, and far better. Like, it was to a T, all that stuff. And so now I'm just like, all right, what I want, this is what I want. Universe, figure it out.
Yeah.
As long as I'm following the breadcrumbs to get me there.
Talk to me about the breadcrumbs. How do you know those?
That's the
breadcrumbs.
Game.
Yeah.
Because when you have to look at the law of attraction as a key.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So a key has a ridge, a couple ridges. Mm-hmm. So that first ridge is what you want.
Okay.
Right? What is it that you want? What's the thought? What do you want? The second ridge is the visualization. Can you see what you want actually happening? Because if you can't see it, neither can the universe.
Yeah.
You need to see it in your mind before you can hold it in your hand.
Yeah.
So
one of the best quotes.
That's the second ridge. The third ridge is emotion, right? Mm-hmm. So if you know what you want and you're starting to visualize it, can you feel the emotions of already achieving what it is that you want? Already, obtaining it, whatever it is that you want. Can you feel the emotion of already having it or doing it? And if you can feel that emotion, that's the rocket that goes out into the universe. Now it's in the universe. Now the universe is going to respond back and give it to you. But how does it give it to you? It doesn't text message you, hey, show up here, message in the clouds, or, show at your doorstep, here's your $1 million. Yeah. It doesn't work like that. What the universe does is it breadcrumbs you, to where you need to be. And that could be, you get a text message from that annoying person who keeps freaking inviting you out every Saturday night, and you don't want to go with them because they're going to talk your ear off. That's where you need to go, where you're going to meet that other somebody who's going to introduce you to that person. Person is going to give you exactly what you want. So that's a breadcrumb, is invitations, places, right? Because it's always going to come from people.
Yeah.
Always going to come from people. And that's how the universe works. It works through people. So the breadcrumbs is saying yes to situations where you normally wouldn't say yes. You got to go outside your comfort zone because it's going to bring it to you, but you got to follow the breadcrumbs or you won't get what you want.
And that breadcrumb, what I'm hearing from you is if there's a resistance or because that's the most uncomfortable option, to go for it and to trust that.
Yeah, you got to work for it. Mm-hmm. Like, here's the thing. The universe will never bring you what you want, but it will always meet you halfway.
Ah.
And that halfway is the third step of that key, right? So you have the first ridge is the thought, the second ridge is the visualization, and the third ridge is the emotion. Well, now that you got a key, what do you got to do? You got to put the key in and you got to turn it. So that turn is action. And that's meeting the universe halfway. You got to show effort. And that effort is following the breadcrumbs and just like being okay with hey, I'm open and willing to whatever you present at me, I'm going to follow the breadcrumbs and I'm going to see where it goes. And it's always going to be beautiful. And you might just not recognize it.
Yeah. And being open to what so you think it's going to, but that's okay. That's part of the game. Yeah. I love that. So good. Where do we go from here, Kurtis?
Yeah, I know. We just went to the moon.
Well, you used a quote from one of my mentors, Bob Proctor, If you can see it in your mind, you can hold it in your hand. And
Yeah, I love that.
so good. So I love that you brought that in. Lots of synchronicities even in this conversation. So very cool. And we were talking about star seeds. So that's we like
Star seeds, manifesting. Yeah.
Yeah. And you're a breathwork certified coach. You have a certification. You use breathwork with your clients. Talk to me about that.
Yeah.
And like how, okay, let's go back actually. You talked about the black sheep in your family, a cousin. Is he the one that introduced you? Like, how is this version of Kurtis sitting in front of me here? Like, what happened there?
Kurtis was very resistant.
Okay.
So it took everything. So people have their own awakenings, certain paths. Some people who aren't spiritual, they'll get really sick.
Okay.
And when they get sick, they'll start, researching alternate medicine and be realizing that maybe the doctors don't know everything and they become their own doctor. They take the health into their own hands. That's a path of awakening.
Yeah.
Another one could be crazy tinfoil hat conspiracies where you're like, that's one of them. Another one could be like Jessica, goes to a trip to Egypt, gets activated in a temple and has all these mystical experiences, right? That's one path. There's many different paths. All roads lead to Rome. For me, all of them happened.
Okay.
My crazy cousin, I seen a UFO. My brother was killed. I didn't believe in any of the woo-woo, any stuff like that. And then one day, I was after a nightclub. It was like 2 a.m. I was in a 7-Eleven gas station, and some lady was just checking me out. I thought she liked me.
What city?
LA.
Okay.
And she kept staring at me. And finally she comes up to me. She's like, hey, don't be freaked out, but your brother's here and he wants to talk to you. I'm like, oh, I'm from Rhode Island. I'm just visiting here. And then she's like, no. She's like, I'm a medium. And I'm like, I'm a large. What does that got to do with it? And she's like, no, sweetie. She's like, I'm a psychic medium. I talk to spirits that have crossed over. I said, oh, hell no. And I ran I literally bolted out the door and I left. She like chased me down. She's like, no, listen. He has a message for you. Take my card, blah, blah. Long story short, ended up connecting with him. And sure enough, like his personality came through. He told me only the last place where I saw him, nobody knew.
What's your brother's name?
Kevin.
Yeah.
So he was a good part to my awakening, and he made me a believer. The things that he told me, the things he shared, he's the one that told me I'd write a book. I'm like, I'm not writing a book. I'm on my 4th book right now. I'm like, what is going on? And it also showed me, we can be impulsed and guided. There's some things that we do, like, I don't even know why I'm doing that. And we have a lot more help than we think that we do. And that's something else that I learned. But yeah, it took my own pain and suffering. I had a stomach condition. Doctors couldn't heal me. They couldn't even tell me what was wrong with me. For 5 years, went to the best doctors from East Coast to West Coast, tens of thousands in co-payments on every YouTube, ayahuasca 20 times in the Amazon rainforest, everything you can imagine. And nothing worked. I did this one breath work. I found this very specific technique. And in one session, it completely eradicated my stomach condition in the snap of a finger. And
wow.
For 3 days, I couldn't wrap my head around. I'm like, how is this possible? I did this, I talked to this doctor. And the reason why doctors couldn't heal me is because my issue wasn't physical.
Yeah.
It was energetic. It was emotional. Now, mind you, I was already certified life coach, hypnotherapist, NLP practitioner, sports science fitness professional, Reiki master. Like I had all these certifications.
Okay, but how did that happen?
I was just collecting.
Okay.
I just became a certification collector, because I was on my own journey of awakening, but I was, the wounded healer.
Yeah.
There's many of us.
Yeah.
And when I found breathwork, I said, oh my God, this is it. Out of all the certifications that I have, breathwork was by far the most powerful, the most effective, and it was the only one that could house all of my other skill sets and certifications into one streamlined modality that's easily acceptable. There's no barriers to entry. There's more barriers to entry to meditation and yoga than there is to breathwork. Anybody can do it anywhere, which is what allowed me to work with companies like Nike and NASA and the Capital Group. And to me, it's like, it's the Trojan horse. I'm like, yeah, we're just breathing. And I come in and I got the chairman of the company crying on the floor. Yeah. And that actually really happened. The chairman of Capital Group, which is, they managed, was it 2.3 trillion in assets? Humongous financial company. And then the guy comes up to me afterwards. I didn't know who he was. He's like, I'm one of the guys who was skeptical of bringing you here.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay. He goes, but stuck his hand out. He's like, I just have to shake your hand. You just made me a believer.
Wow.
And it was the chairman of the company. He was the co-chair, the Robert Lovelace. So, even Nike, shortly after we did the breathwork, it was the largest mindfulness event that Nike did. And they changed their marketing campaign to Q1 of 24 around the breath. And they said it was the most powerful event that they've done. NASA put on record in Bloomberg and Business Insider that no other event elicited such a positive response. So it's not just changing normal people's lives, huge organizations, Fortune 500 companies. Like, it's such a powerful tool that it works on everybody. And what I like about it, I think it's going to be bigger than yoga.
Yeah.
Because unlike yoga and meditation, the results are instantaneous and undeniable from one session.
Yeah.
There's nothing out there like that. The only thing I found more powerful, quote unquote, than breathwork is if you want to travel across the world, go to the jungles of Peru and drink a gallon of ayahuasca. But I did that 20 times and I still didn't heal.
Yeah, I was just going to say, and breath work, you can get there. Like, you don't need the ayahuasca.
You can get there. Your body actually microdoses dimethyltryptamine, which is one of the active ingredients in the ayahuasca. So you can have the same visions, if you choose. And, I think that it's more acceptable and legal.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that too.
Yeah. And well, I mean, we have it right here.
Yeah, it's like everyone's holding.
Yeah.
We're all in possession.
That's good.
So
that's good.
I think a lot of people don't feel comfortable in their own bodies and they don't even know it.
For sure.
That's where a lot of
they're afraid.
Yeah.
Like, I know I was afraid of my own emotions. I didn't know what the fuck was down there, like what I was going to find.
Yeah, it's a scary place. Like, emotions it's scary, man. It's like the dark night of the soul. It's a tough thing, but I think if anyone's going through emotions and they're trying to fix them and mask them and cover them up, it's actually the worst thing you could do. I understand because you want to feel better. Trust me, we got to function as parents, as business owners, but the most effective thing you could do is fully feel it.
Yeah.
Fully feel it, fully lean into it, even if it's scary, even if it's ugly. And that's your awareness is what allows you to transmute it.
Yeah.
It's like we all trying to fix it. And I get it. I'm the same type of person. But your awareness and your consciousness is like the flame of the light. So like I like to give the analogy of a cave. Let's say it's all hard and wax as the emotions, right? And if you go into that cave with the torch and you just hold the torch up, the wax begins to melt. And that torch is your awareness. Awareness alone begins to transmute it automatically. You can say, wow, I feel this way. Wow, what is this? Sometimes you don't have to put a feeling to it, because I was feeling something not too long ago and I was like, oh, what is that? Oh, and I pinpointed it and I was like, oh, damn, I didn't even know that was in me. But that awareness is what allows it to transmute.
Yeah.
So
dissipate.
It should make somebody feel a little bit more at ease, that you don't have to try so hard. The only thing you should be trying is self-awareness, self-realization. That's why when Neo's becoming Neo in the Matrix, she points up into the sign and it says, know thyself. That's the game.
That's it. That's the game. Yeah. So when did this journey start for you?
This is a culmination of all those things happening between my cousin, crazy cousin, conspiracy.
Yeah. How long ago was that?
Oh, what year? Oh, that was 2011.
Okay. Wow.
2011. I met my first teacher in 2011, 2012. Amazing shaman, amazing abilities. And she opened my eyes to like, wow, like what's out there. Like it's a whole new world.
What were you doing before that?
Oh, just serial entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Everything. I had an alcohol company.
Yeah.
I had a confectionery company. I used to own a magazine company. A lot of people know me because I was always on the scene for the magazine. So I did a lot of events. I was working with the New England Patriots. This is in New England, obviously. And I've always just had my hands in something.
Okay.
And, I look at them as like a past life. Because,
yeah, I get that feeling from you.
Yeah, but I extrapolated a lot of the lessons and like the skill sets to build a business. Not everyone in the spiritual community, they have a different relationship with money. They don't really, it's hard for them to see their value. It's hard for them to believe that they are exchanging value and they should be compensated and compensated good for that. So I have that already. And so now I actually help a lot of entrepreneurs adapt that mindset that, listen, you don't like sales? I get it, but you're not selling. And if you don't, give them the opportunity to experience your service or your product, you're not only doing a disservice to yourself, you're doing a disservice to them. Because
humanity.
You just screwed all those people out of all the transformations and the beautiful things they could have gotten from you. You screwed them over.
Yeah.
And they don't think of it like that.
Yeah.
And when they do, they, oh, you know what? I think I'm trying to sell them. No, you're screwing them over by not presenting what you have and articulate it in a way where it comes from the heart and where it's passionate. I've always been passionate, always. But now when I'm sharing something that I know can transform their life and it isn't about $1, that's where my life clicked. And I think that's where my alignment came in. I was like, okay, this is what feels good because I know what I'm doing is helping people. So when I found Breathwork, I exited every company that I was a part of. Everything. Dropped it. Had 50,000 in this one, gone. 30,000 here, gone. Just everything. Just exit. All these startups, left them all. I said, I'm bringing Breathwork to the world because nobody knew about this.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
And this was 2010 that you found Breathwork as well, or was that a little bit later?
It was a little bit later.
Yeah.
2011 is like the spiritual awakening.
Okay.
And then when I became all in Breathwork, it was around 2018.
And when did you get present to the idea of star seeds, or that you weren't from here? And when did that?
Right off
from the beginning. Okay.
That's kind of what got me. It was right around 2012.
And you said you had a UFO experience.
Yep.
Yeah. What was that like?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Jessica was like hammering on that one.
Yeah,
She's
okay.
like, tell me.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you this. Instead of just saying, I seen some lights in the sky.
Yeah.
Let me say this. I found out there's a group called CE5.
Okay.
So CE5 stands for Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind, which is actually human initiation contact.
Okay.
So which means that you can actually do certain things to get the ETs to show up, get the ships to show up. So they were interviewing a bunch of people.
Okay.
And hundreds of people, and they only chose 12 people.
Okay.
And then we go, and it's a certification. So they teach you how to do it. So we go to Joshua Tree, and we start doing these like contact protocols. And one of the big ones I'll share with you is that I've done this before, maybe like a month or two before, and 300 people. We went and nothing, no ETs, no UFOs, bogus. And because if there's one person in the group who has a fear of vibration, they won't show up.
Yeah.
I learned that. So that's why this particular group only did 12 people and they interviewed you. So when I went to Joshua Tree, it was 3 days of contact. Every single day ship showed up. And from one moment to the next, I was a completely different person. And I'll share with you why. And this is also the reason why that I know why they don't want you to know, or they've been hiding this for so long. And here's the reason why. Because from one moment to the next, as soon as I saw the ship and it was in front of me and it was real and it wasn't some old man on a porch saying, yeah, I seen the lights in the sky, I swear. No, it was me seeing it with my own eyes multiple times over and over again. But one particular one where it just like blew, like it looked like a second sun. It like came as a humongous orb, like the size of the moon, shrunk down, traveled over here, blew itself up again, zigzag, did it over here, and like gave us a show. When that happened to me, from one moment to the next, the reason why I was changed is because I knew anything was possible. Yeah. And they don't want humanity knowing that anything is possible.
Well, how do you control that?
You can't.
Yeah.
It shattered the glass ceiling of consciousness that was in my mind that I didn't even know was there.
Yeah.
I only knew it was gone when it was gone. I didn't know it was there. So it freed me. It liberated my thinking, my capacity. And if that happened to the world, we would be living differently, I think, instantaneously. I really think that.
Yeah, I do too. Yeah, I got that. I had full body energy moving when you said that. Okay, so 3 days. So that was the first, what you saw. Can you share what you saw the other 2 days? It was
the same thing. It would kind of like let us up, like, oh, look at that. Oh, look at that. No, it's a star. No, it's a satellite. No, it's a star. It was like a lot of building us up. But on the third day, was by far undeniable.
Yeah.
You could not deny.
Wow.
And it's out there. Like you'd be surprised that if you just went out to, out in wherever the desert somewhere, I don't know where you guys live, but
Canada.
Canada, yeah.
We'll go to the north.
You can go to certain locations and do these events, and they're here.
Yeah.
They're here. You'll be shocked that just your intention, and they'll show up. It's and I think there'll probably be tons of like these CE5 events as people begin to awaken. Like I can see that happening for sure.
Yeah.
Because right now it's just kind of small little weirdos that go out in the desert, and I guess I'm in that group.
Yeah, no, I love it. It's great. I have a really good friend, Elizabeth April. She's a Canadian, and we often have these conversations.
Chandler?
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know her?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard her.
Yeah. She happened to live in the condo I was living in Toronto. Just like, I mean, nothing's a coincidence.
Yeah.
So, we just happened to meet, and right. Yeah, I love that. Just like I feel like meeting you, this is such a great conversation. Thank you, Kurtis. I'd like to talk more about breath work. That's really, I mean, I've taken you on a completely different tangent, and we haven't even brought up in this segment around you going to Everest either. And I wanted to bring up that as well. But I think I have a feeling that this is just the beginning of meeting you, and it's honestly such an honor. I have a kind of funny question, maybe a little bit, but like, I don't have a lot of men on the show.
Yeah.
I don't have a lot of conscious men, I would say, in my world. So this is an honor speaking to a man who is very aware and conscious. So where are y'all hiding?
That's so interesting. You know why? Because when I went on Jessica's podcast, she said I was her second male guest other than her husband. I thought she was one other guy too. So yeah, I don't know. First of all, I'm completely honored. That's like amazing. So thank you for allowing me to, be on here with your guests. Where are they?
Yeah.
I think they're awakening. I think it's happening as part of the process of this global awakening. They're definitely out there. I try to surround myself with only those types of people because it's the only people I can resonate with.
Yeah.
I can't do small talk. I can't not talk deep. I can have like business associates, and I don't got to go deep with everybody.
Yeah.
But as far as like,
That's fun.
yeah, like really good friends, like,
Yeah.
I got to be able to share the full spectrum of myself. They're definitely out there. The issue is they're afraid to talk about it. They're afraid to kind of really share. But I think more time goes on, I think, because women are way past men. Like, they're way, even astrology, I think like 80-something% of the women believe in astrology, and like men is under 50. So, women tend to awaken, faster than men, like more ahead of the curve, but they're coming along. I think but the more men realize that the women want a spiritually awakened man, they'll do more work.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Make it true, actually. Yeah.
Yeah.
You said earlier that a woman in her goddess energy is like kryptonite to the dark.
Yes.
Yeah. Talk more about that.
Yeah.
And then I want to go back to the men, actually. I'm interested in this because, well, where I'm at and like newly separated, and there's a standard now that I hold for myself, and same thing with you. Like there's no way that I'm not surrounding myself with like-minded people in this next phase of my life.
Yes. I always make a comment on the dark because like my mom has this quote. She says, the dark is beautiful.
Okay.
It's evil that we're fighting.
Oh.
Without darkness, the stars wouldn't shine, the seeds wouldn't grow. It contrasts the light. And so I believe that is a true statement, and I think, that's the name of the game for the females, and the men is really stepping into their divine masculine, what that looks like for them, and, the process of becoming, a prince to a king, and what that entails.
What does that entail? What does that look like for our listeners? The divine masculine.
Well, I think one is the biggest thing is self-realization for men. Moving out of their mind space to their heart space is very hard for men. They say the longest distance that any man or woman can travel is 12 inches. When they stop living from here and start living from here. So as a man, to operate from the heart is a big part of it. And then also not operating 12 inches more down, which is, men have a lot of sexual energy. And that's okay. And a lot of awakened men and spiritual men, they do. And that's a process of transmuting that and having it work for you instead of against you. And every man struggles with it, whether they admit it or not. And I think the quote that kind of changed my perspective on that. Can you swear on here?
Yeah.
Okay.
You can swear.
And it was, a man who can't control his dick can't control his life.
Yeah.
And you work on all these different things that you're, all these spiritualities, all these, breath works and meditations. But if you can't control that one thing, it'll get you into the disaster of trouble. So for men, that's a big thing for them, right? Women, it's different. It's like we're very polarized. Women operate from the heart. Men are more men. So it's a balancing. Some women need to be more sexually active, and some men need to tone it down and not think, with other body parts and to think from their heart. So we're all learning.
Yeah.
It's all a balance and it's all a learning. And I think the biggest thing here is for each other to have compassion for the space that we're in. Hey, you know what? I don't understand you and your struggles. I'm sure it's hard. Let me at least give you a safe space where you could do that. And same thing with me. You might not know what it's like to have one of these things, but have some compassion for what it is like. And if we can at least have that safe space for us to go through our stuff, I think humanity will be able to evolve a lot more faster and more efficiently.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good. Yeah.
My
Right.
attention with
Yeah.
the drops. So by the way, she gave me this like blue lotus magical serum that opens your throat chakra.
Yeah.
And she said, make sure you do an intention. And I was like, let me just speak the truth and be
Perfect.
transparent and authentic. I didn't
Yeah.
plan on talking about that. But yeah, thanks for the potion.
You're the potion. You're welcome. You're welcome. Wow. This is good. This has gone a few ways, Kurtis. I love it. I love it. Where to next? Well, I'm aware that breathwork's important. So I want to really honor one of the reasons why I asked you to come on the podcast and share your mission and really your purpose with the guests. So let's go back to that, even though we've done everything else. So breathwork, you mentioned, is more powerful than yoga. You've taken it into the boardrooms and corporate offices, and you've really made an impact with it. Where do you see, what's the potential with breathwork? What do you want to see and have people know about breathwork?
Yeah. First of all, I will say that, I do yoga.
Yeah.
And I practice meditation, and I love those things. I never knock them. The way I look where we're at now is, unfortunately, we do live in a microwave society where people want to see results, and they want to see results fast.
Yeah.
And, I get it. I want to go to the gym and wake up the next morning with a six pack, but it doesn't work like that. So it's really hard to find things or modalities that can give you that. And when I found breathwork, is the only thing that can give you instantaneous results. And I just think we don't have enough time. Nobody has time. There's so many supplements that you can take. There's so many new modalities and so much crap out there that, and I'm a victim to this stuff too, that I said, okay, I can only focus on the things that's going to move the needle.
Okay.
And so what are the things that's going to move the needle? Out of all the things that I forget about the certifications, just I've experienced a lot. Breathwork was by far the number one thing that moved the needle for me. So I said, okay, this is worth for me to invest my energy into. So, I'd love for people who are looking for a breakthrough, who are looking to get unstuck, who are looking, but they just don't feel comfortable in their own body, to try breathwork, to try this particular modality. Now, I teach Breathwork Detox.
Okay.
I specifically specialize in deep somatic cathartic breathwork. So it's the most potent and powerful releasing breathwork that you can do. There's all different types of other breathwork, but they're very much softer and more gentle, and they bring you into the parasympathetic, which I use those ones as maintenance programs.
Okay.
Right. But I want to get to the deep work, and I want to get to it fast, because here's the thing, like, I'm not trying to mow the lawn. We're all mowing the lawn, and after you mow the lawn, oh, it looks nice. And then a week later, you got all these weeds coming up. I want to rip these freaking weeds out from the ground so they never come back ever again.
Root source. Okay.
And you got to get to the root source.
Yeah.
And breathwork is what allows you to get to that root source, to peel back those layers. So I'm like the biggest advocate for it. And that's why like I'm solely like, this is my thing. Breathwork is my thing. Until I find something that's more powerful and more potent, then I'll switch to that. But as of right now, it doesn't exist.
So where do you suggest the listeners get started? Do you have something that can help them?
Actually, I do. So Breathwork Detox is the website they can go to. So they can go to Breathwork Detox. And you can also, there's virtual events there. I think I have a code podcast 50. They can get 50% off.
Great.
So
we'll put that in the show notes.
Okay, cool. And then my Instagram, Man from the Stars. Yeah. So I'm pretty receptive. If they have questions, I try to get back to everybody. But Man from the Stars on Instagram, they can go on there. They'll see links to my teacher trainings if they wanted to do that. Breathwork Detox is the brand, but I'd say either one of those two, they should be able to get a hold of me.
Okay, great. And is it safe to go into that really deep so that you're pulling out the weeds right away?
I mean, it depends. I wouldn't say it's unsafe. I think that the breath is going to give you exactly what you need. Yeah. It's very intelligent. So it's not going to give you an experience that you're not ready for, or going to help you get rid of something that you've been holding on to that's causing you way more harm, stress, anxiety. So, and the thing about the breath is that when you're guiding them through, you let them know they're in control. Yeah, I was just going to say, it's like your breath. Yeah, it's not when you take... But I feel like that's a fear, though, for people, because they see people crying and like, you know, if you've seen videos of breath work, right? And so it's like, is this okay for me? And that's a good point. So it's not like LSD, magic mushrooms, or ayahuasca, where you take that and you're on that ride for a while until it tells you can get off, right? With breath work, you're in control. You can speed up your spaceship and go as far out as you want. You can slow it down, breathe low and slow, or fast and full, whatever. You're in control. So you can control your process. So that's the big difference. And I'll say, so crying, right? A lot of people will look at the videos and they'll see people crying and it looks dramatic. The beautiful thing about breathwork, and what I noticed when I did my big ugly cry and I was healing and letting go of my trauma that helped clear up my stomach congestion, was that although if you looked at me and it looked like, oh my God, that poor kid needs a hug, I was actually crying tears of joy. And it looked ugly and nasty and sad, but I was recognizing that I've been holding on to this trauma for 30 something years and feeling and witnessing it leave me, feeling liberated and free and acknowledging and honoring that trauma. That's why I was crying. I wasn't crying because I was in the pain. Yeah. It was crying because I was recognizing and feeling the pain. And sometimes you do need to feel it to heal it. Sometimes you just can bypass the screen of your awareness and just, go on its own. But sometimes you need to acknowledge it and feel it. And I was acknowledging and feeling the release of it. And so don't be intimidated when you see people crying and it looks like they're in pain. No, it could be tears of joy, blissful tears. Yeah. So yeah, that's good. That's good. Good reminder. That's not so scary. Yeah. Okay. Abundance in one word. Go. Unlimited. Okay. Great. You have one book that you can read for the rest of your life. Only one book. What book would that be? Oh, you're going to do that to people? Oh my God. One book. And I would have to say, have to be a big one then. Yeah. Okay. Thick one. I mean, there's some really profound information in the Law of One. Okay. I don't know if you heard of that. No. Law of One. It's who wrote it? Raw channelings. Okay. It's a really, it's a profound. You could read that. Also, there's a book, not Human Design. What's the other one? Gene Keys. Gene Keys is a really good book. You had that book. And I'm trying to think of books that you could live by. Yeah. Not just entertaining books. I love Outwitting the Devil. Yeah. Gosh, that just came up in the last podcast. Yeah. Atomic Habits. Yeah. These are really good books, but if there's one book. Yeah. That's why if I'm going to be on that island, it better be a freaking damn good book that I can apply and that you can reread, right? Yeah. And learn, and the book doesn't change, but you change. Yes. The more you read it. Yeah. Exactly. That's why it's the question. Yeah, good one. You did slip a few more in there though. Hold on.
Well
It's
done.
like, I was
Yeah,
gonna
yeah.
say.
Yeah, I got that. Curtis, thank you. It's been an honor and a pleasure to get to know you. I feel like I've met you before, so welcome back. Feel like I'm happy to see you again.
Thank you.
And this is just the beginning. Our audience is going to love this.
Yeah.
Any last words before we wrap?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that if the audience isn't used to hearing some of these things, that it's okay. I understand. I was probably far more skeptical than you are. And, people who know me would say the same thing. And I would just say if anything that we talked about today sparked the slightest bit of curiosity, I don't think curiosity killed the cat. I think ignorance did. And curiosity is just consciousness at work. So if you felt curious, follow that curiosity, maybe double click on something that we said, go a little bit deeper down the rabbit hole, and it'll bring you into a beautiful space of awakening.
Well said. Thank you, my friend.
Thank you.